How to make sourdough bread simplified and without a food scale or any fancy gadgets. I took 1 1/4 cup of water and dripped along the way, poured it into my mixing bowl, and then warmed it. You don't want it hot, but just warm, so I think I did about 45 seconds. Next, I took my starter. The measurements are about 0.64 cups, so I just filled a half cup, a little bit over the brim, and then added some. You're gonna stir this until it's more of a milky consistency, and then that's when I add my flour. I add 3 1/4 cups of flour, and then I also add my salt here. The measurements say a teaspoon of salt. I kind of measure with my heart. I've also been adding a drizzle of honey after seeing some TikToks. I don't really know what this is supposed to do, but it hasn't tasted bad so far, so why not? Mix it with a spoon, and then I just kind of finish it off with my fingers, making sure that it's the right consistency. Then we're gonna cover it and begin our stretch and folds. So I cover it for about 30 minutes and then stretch it out like this. I do this about 3 times, so 30-minute increments of these stretch and folds. And after the 3rd stretch and fold is done, it goes into the fridge for about 8 hours. For this loaf, I made the mistake of not transferring out of the mixing bowl, and it looks huge. So I would recommend transferring it out of your normal mixing bowl into something smaller so it doesn't look like this, but it had rose and was poofed up enough for me to move on. For this one, I decided to cut into 2/3 to make 3 little loaves, and then I just did another kneading type of stretch and fold deal to make sure all the air bubbles were out. For my first loaf, I did a Kalamata olive, garlic, and rosemary loaf, and then I put it in its own little bowl to rise again for about an hour. Covered it up. I put these in the oven with the oven not turned on. I think having it in an enclosed space is supposed to help it rise a little bit quicker and better. I've seen people on TikTok do this, so that's why I do it. After it's had about an hour to rise a little bit more, I preheat the oven to 450, and now it's time to score it. I am not great at scoring. I use a knife. I don't even have a little razor, but we like to experiment. We're doing our best. I cover it and put it in the oven while it's preheating for 25 minutes, and then I take the lid off and let it cook for another 20 minutes. This one got a little bit crispy, I think because they're so little. Usually they turn out perfect. This is what they all look like.